Alrighty. So we are here. Huh. Yes, there is a video thingy in the background that I'm watching, for the next 10 or so minutes. So, yeah. Well, look who's decided to show up. Ayo! Yes, it has been a year of me doing the recorded thing. I should note that I have not been going live for a year. I've only been going live since February, which is. Holy crap, that's nearly 5 months now. Jeez, how do I do this? How do I do this every. Yeah, nah. But the fact that I have been doing. Did you know? I looked through it. I have missed 1 week recording wise. Oh, I know. I'm just being a little amped up because I'm excited. I've missed 1 week of recordings. The 1 week I've missed was the week that I started the live one because I thought, it would be a thing I can do? Extracting the audio from the live podcast and then just uploading that. No, that's not a thing. Life lesson for those of you who want to do that. That's not a thing. Don't do that. That's gonna be annoying. Yeah. I've it's a lot and I'll talk about it. I'll probably start with it actually, just because, if that's when people are going to be here, and that's I guess when we talk about it. Man. So how has the everything been? Doing quite well. Let me think. Just been chilling, working more on a video that should hopefully be coming out by the end of the month. On the 1982 packed. I live really close to an annoyingly loud street. So there are times when sometimes if you hear a little noise in the background, that's what you're hearing. Yeah, because there's just a loud motorcycle that went past. But yeah, it's a story on the 1982 Pac-10 title race and how that was insane. And I'm using a tie-in with it being a tribute piece to Terry Donahue, who passed away I think a couple weeks ago, because it was his first title at UCLA, and it was the start of his 7 consecutive bowl victories as head coach, which is something that was never done prior. No head coach had ever won 7 straight bowl games. It's still a very rare occurrence. They did. They beat Michigan. Twice, I believe. They also definitely shouldn't have made that... Okay, so to give you a summary of it, you know how the play... I wouldn't have known that because I didn't... It's like, cool. I don't even... You have the game. Ah, cool. I didn't need that. Oh, no. It's okay. It's the fact of the matter is, I have seen clips of the game. So, like... Yeah, it was a pretty decent-ish game, but that wasn't the thing I'm focusing on. It's the regular season race, because UCLA came into the final game of the season 4th in the Pac-10. They were 4th. And they finished it 1st. And that's because everyone else lost that they needed to lose. They won the game against USC, Washington lost, then the next week Arizona State lost. Despite the fact that Washington lost, not Washington State. Washington lost to Washington State, 27-point underdogs, of course, and Arizona beat Arizona State, 18-point underdogs. Or 8-point underdogs. There was an 8 in there somewhere. Yeah. Stupid. Just stupid how much needed to go right for them. And it happened that they won their game a few minutes after the play, the famous, Cal-Stanford game. They won their game like a few minutes later on a miracle sack on a 2-point conversion that had USC kicked for the tie, UCLA wouldn't have been in the Rose Bowl. They would not have been able to go to the Rose Bowl. It would have either been Arizona State or Washington. Guaranteed. And I have full footage of that game, USC-UCLA, which I couldn't find for a year. I have the full Washington State, the full Apple Cup. I have bit of the Arizona State-Arizona game, what wasn't known as the Territorial Cup yet, because they hadn't found it. Because if you didn't know, the Territorial Cup was lost for a very long time until they found it. It's the oldest trophy in college football, technically, but not the most continuous. So it's older than the Little Brown Jug. Ayo. 758. If you play the NCAA football games, they tell you cool little facts about the trophies, and they have rivalry trophies. And that's one of them. Is the thing, and they played for it in 1898. It was called... And it was called what it was, was it the Commonwealth? Why did I say Commonwealth Cup? Because I know that's what they play for in Kentucky. I don't remember that being it. Oh no, Territorial Cup. Territorial Cup, of course, because it was 1898 and Arizona wasn't a state yet. So it predates the state of Arizona. That's how old it is. Man, this most recent version of that game was so competitive. What happened in that game? Like, Arizona State decided, you know what we're just gonna do? We're gonna take Arizona behind the woodshed and then shoot them in the back of the head. Because that's what it was from, like, a game standpoint. That was, like, one of the worst beatdowns, if not the worst beatdown I've ever seen in a rivalry. Where it's like, what are you doing? You didn't even have to try. But I can hear the bells going off at the old clock tower, and you know what that means. Hello, everybody. My name is Ben Schluter, and welcome to episode 19 of Goal to Go Live. It is a special night for me, in particular, because I never knew if I could get to this point, and I have somehow, because tonight is the 1-year anniversary of me doing any sort of podcasting. On June 15th, 2020, I started what was then known as Outward Thoughts, because, like inward thoughts, but instead they're outward, because it was a clever name. It was a good name. This was before there were any sports to report on, except for baseball, but I don't care about baseball that much. So yeah, it was a weird opinion podcast that had no focus whatsoever. That was a great move. And yet the earliest episodes I have are also the ones with the most views, the most listens. So, figure that out how you will. But, yep. And I've been doing it ever since. I've only missed 1 week. And even then, technically speaking, I did upload something to there. It was an announcement. So, I haven't really missed a week. So, I just gotta say, yeah. Began the 2-point conversion, which you probably don't know about because I've never mentioned it on here. It is a it's a semi-weekly podcast usually, which airs and is recorded the day after every LSU and Saints football game, which is my reaction to it, my analysis of the game, just in the relative immediate aftermath, which will be starting up once football season gets here. And then I renamed the show Goal to Go on October 30th, and I uploaded my first show that day. The next day, actually, which was a Saturday special about UMass women's tennis. Because, this show has a really, really specific focus of everything. So, when I record my episode tomorrow, it will be the 108th podcast that I have recorded, which includes, I guess, random rambles and an interview and, other stuff. There's also 2 trailers and an announcement on there. In total, I have uploaded 87 hours, 56 minutes, and 38 seconds. If you take out those 3 things I mentioned, 87 hours, 45 minutes, 51 seconds. Yes, I spent some time today actually calculating it. So yeah. You can listen to me talking about things for 3.5 days. Plus, that's a lot. That is a lot. And so, yep. So what have I learned from that? Editing is the worst thing in the world. And I think anyone who learns, once that you have to start editing something, you realize, oh, I hate this. Yeah, and sometimes I don't. But that's usually if it's not been that much. I gotta start doing that a lot more. I've also not really found a real schedule, although I have a better schedule now. We'll see if I stick to that more. But, it's better now. So what do I need to know? On there, is the audio perfectly fine, or do I need to still do some editing tweaks to it? And what will be the best way to format the show going forward? I have some ideas. But I do want to mention what my plan for the upcoming season is. Because we're coming up on football season pretty damn soon, and I want to at least announce what my tentative plans are right now. That's going to I don't know how college and everything's going to look. So this is what my set is for right now. It's always subject to change. So starting on September 1st, I'm going to be shifting the schedule of the show. So the live episodes are going to be going on same time, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, but those are going to be on Wednesdays, because I don't want to be those on Thursdays. It's Thursday Night Football. Come on, that'd be stupid. Then the regular Goal to Go podcast, those are going to be recorded on Thursdays, either in the morning or the afternoon. I have to double check my schedule. May not happen the first week. That depends on how everything's working out with the UCLA LSU game, because I really want to go to that. And currently, fingers crossed on if anything's working out, because it's not like I'm in a state with the second lowest vaccination rates. And well, then again, I don't think that'll be a problem because I'm fully vaccinated. Woohoo! But also, 2-point conversion episodes are going to be back, and the first one's going to be out August 15th. That's going to be the day after the Saints open the preseason on the road at M&T Bank Stadium against the Baltimore Ravens. So be on the lookout for those. And I don't know how any of the podcast stuff works, but you can find it anywhere that you have your podcast. I will have a link in the description for the video that's uploaded on YouTube. You can also find a link to that stuff. It's in the thingy, in the About page here on Twitch. But now, let's move into what's important in this world, and that's actual sports. Let's get into some NFL news that's been going on. So, we've had some interesting scenarios over the past week. So, LA prosecutors charged Chiefs defensive end Frank Clark with a felony weapons violation from an arrest he had on March 13th. This is the second time he's been charged in 3 weeks, the other being when officers alleged he had an Uzi in his Lambo on June 20th. That's weird. Then we have the Falcons, who terminated the contract of former LSU linebacker Barkevious Mingo. I don't know what the details are, and I didn't want to look into them, because frankly, I wanted to keep myself away from things like that. Also, it turns out there were other things I'm not even going to talk about this week, because sometimes you realize that when you want to talk about everything, you run out of room. It was a count of, quote, indecency with a child - sexual contact. Let's back off from that. Let's get into the most important and recent news from an NFL player standpoint. And that is free agent cornerback Richard Sherman. Now, he was recently, by recently I mean on Wednesday morning, he was charged with burglary, domestic violence in Redmond, Washington. That's near Seattle. That's the home of Nintendo of America, so some of you may have an idea of what that city is if you've ever heard the name. So, here's what happened. So he was booked at 6:08 a.m. local time, and he was denied bail. That's standard practice. He's since out without bail. He's going to be going to a sentencing hearing tomorrow at 4 o'clock, I believe, to see what the charge. Apparently, it's going to be a small thing. So here's what happens. So it's 1 a.m. Sherman in his SUV, he crashed it near a construction zone. Then he drove off and abandoned it in a parking lot. So this morning, they released pictures of what his SUV looked like. Now, me and a friend have come up with a rating scale of the gnarliness of a car crash, and it is on the Pop-Tart wrapper scale. And I know what you're thinking, that's ridiculous, but I need you to just bear with me for a second. Think of a Pop-Tart wrapper, and then think about how crumpled up it can get when you're going to throw it away. And then think about a gnarly car crash, and then you're gonna see what I mean by that. I know it sounds really dumb, but it makes sense when you can visualize it. So, on a scale of that, which doesn't really have a slider, it's an unopened Pop-Tart. Like, it's not even that gnarly. It's not even that bad looking. It's not even that bad. It looked pretty... I didn't see much. Like, really. But yeah. So he abandons his SUV in a parking lot. He went to the house of his in-laws. At the original press conference, the officer said it was his ex-in-laws, which was a load of not true. And, yeah, they corrected that. So he apparently attempted to break in, which caused... Apparently his wife, that's who it was apparently they've released the 911 reports, but I didn't get a chance to look at those because that was like right before this, right before I had to eat dinner and all. And apparently during that call, she described him as drunk and belligerent. He'd apparently drank a couple bottles of hard alcohol. He was aggressive. He was apparently threatening to kill himself as well. She was pleading on the phone not to shoot, which is reasonable because, cops are very well known for having the most delicate of trigger fingers. Sherman, he was allegedly aggressive with police, and they responded by using a canine dog, which really feels annoying to say because we all know that is sort of redundant, but also not. So note, that domestic violence thing, nobody was hurt. But because it was his in-laws, the domestic part had to come in, and it's a whole other can of worms. But you want to talk about cans of worms? How is it that the Jaguars are already going through so much crap? Because now, thanks to some bullshit, and that's what this is. The U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Iowa has subpoenaed the Jacksonville Jaguars and coach Urban Meyer. The Jaguars for 19 documents and Urban Meyer for 10, which some of those overlap, by the way. This is for documents and other evidence relating to Chris Doyle's hire and subsequent resignation within about 48 hours. Basically, there's this whole lawsuit against the University of Iowa because Chris Doyle was terminated for being a racist piece of shit. And yeah, there's like some sort of suit going on there. And so the Jaguars are not really wanting to hand over documents because they don't feel like they need to. But, you know, I guess that's what we have to deal with. Now then, before we jump into the two biggest topics, I need to talk about the random stuff that's happened. First of all, in college baseball news, Kevin Kopps, now of the San Diego Padres, won the Golden Spikes Award for Best Collegiate Baseball Player. He had the best ERA of anybody in college baseball and the best conference in all of college baseball. He was an absolute stud. When Arkansas called the cops, oh baby, he was going to strike you out. Except for, you know, the final game against NC State, in which case, never mind. Then, we have a thing that happened today at Big 12 Media Days. So, like, the head of Big 12 officiating said that horns down, which is, okay, it's hard to explain. So think of, I'm doing this because I don't know if everyone knows what horns down is. So think of, put your pinky and your index finger upwards in the air, have your other two fingers down, then have your thumb over it. Have your thumb over your middle and your ring finger. That's horns up, which is hook 'em horns, which is a big thing that the University of Texas does. And then put them down. And then put them down. That's horns down, and it is a very famous gesture used at Texas players, and Texas fans really don't care about it. But for some reason, the officials do. They flagged players in the past for doing it at other players. It's not uncommon, but some people are saying, ugh, this is such a soft thing. So I decided to do the thing that I keep on doing. And this is what annoys me, because it's like, guys, have you stopped to ask the question, why are they saying this? And then tried answering the question, doing research. And I know that takes time, but sometimes just try. And so I did it, except of course I'm insanely stupid, so I just went to the source. Because I thought, well, is that a standard part of the taunting rule? So I read the 2021 college football rule book. And I didn't have to look far for it because it's right there in the first few pages as part of the points of emphasis. Quote, for the 2021 season, it will be a point of emphasis for officials to penalize any taunting action that is directed at an opponent. Which means that horns up to an opponent will also be penalized. It's not like this is a thing in any other conference. It's not like you can't gator chomp at a Florida player. Oh, that's right. This has already happened. Oh yeah, this is already a thing. But people are getting annoyed by it because they want to, because people are over-reporting this crap, and frankly, they should stop. Guys, media outlets, who cares? Nobody cares. Oh, other thing that I want to say, apparently frickin' Tom Brady won the Super Bowl with a torn MCL. Which is cool and all, but John Elway played his entire career without an ACL. So, who's more impressive? But anyway, talk about the NBA Finals. They're going on. They've been pretty decent. I haven't watched them, so I've heard they've been pretty decent. And people have complained about the finals matchup. So I meant to talk about this last week, but then I got caught up in another thing, the Sha'Carri Richardson thingy. Yeah, let me just say that not only was I was right and right. Because it's like, look, all I'm gonna say is that my evidence was very well backed up, and I had I have good sources to back me up. Pretty decent scientific evidence to back me up. And I found more of it. I'm not going to go into detail on that. And I know that sounds suspiciously like someone who's trying to make shit up. But there's a good reason for me not to go into the details. All I'm going to say is, I got a pretty good confirmation from reading up and from, thinking about it. No. Got it? But anyway, so the NBA Finals are between Phoenix and Milwaukee. It's pretty cool. You got Devin Booker, you got Chris Paul versus Chris Middleton and Giannis Antetokounmpo. But there are people who are complaining about it. One of the biggest reasons? They aren't big markets. First of all, if Phoenix isn't a big market, they're number 12. They're the number 12 media market in the country. You gonna call that small? Miami's smaller. Detroit's smaller. Oh, it's okay, Steeler fan, that you're late. You didn't miss much. Oh, except for the part where UC Davis has the entire baseball program on suspension. Oh, wait, I already posted that in the server. Oh, did I? Yeah. Steeler fan, have you been reading up on the Sha'Carri Richardson thing? Because I wanted to see if you had, because, reasons, I guess. Because, lol. Okay, I did a whole podcast on that last week, so you can go check that out and see where I came from. Because I did a ton of research on it to come to the conclusion that, yeah, she cheated. She cheated. And there's this other woman who got banned for 5 years, and I looked into it, and it's because she missed a drug test, and it's, really bad. The evidence against her is so horrible. Because it's okay, so she had been suspended for a whole year prior. She apparently scheduled the drug test so early, she knew she couldn't wake up for it because her dogs would have had to wake her up. That seems irresponsible to me, and I'm a person who's got ADHD, and I know what it's like to miss something because you're bad at scheduling it. But the thing is, I'm not a top-tier athlete who's trying not to get suspended. And she blamed it on, if she were white or a man, she wouldn't have had this happen. And she blamed the makeup of the panel, despite the fact that in the evidence for it, she totally agreed to the makeup of the panel. She could have requested it to be different. She 100% had that option and did not use it. But also, there is no excuse here. You should be on top of this stuff, or you should pay someone to, or someone should help you. Please, come on. You're a top-tier athlete. I don't know how much money you make, but probably enough to at least get someone to help you if you keep forgetting stuff. I mean, if I had money, I'd do it. But that's not important right now. What's important is to talk about the NBA Finals, and specifically what I hate about people who wanted to talk about the NBA Finals if they're bad. Okay? Because they're saying Phoenix isn't a big market. Phoenix is a pretty nice market, I would say. It's bigger than Detroit. It's bigger than Miami. It's the 12th largest in the country. But that's not important. They're saying the ratings are going to be bad. They're saying the ratings are going to be bad. Guess what? LeBron's first finals were a ratings disaster. The worst rated finals in the history of the NBA. You know why? I don't know, but LeBron wasn't going to help him necessarily. In fact, last year LeBron was in the finals, and no one watched. Funny how that works. It's almost as if LeBron isn't going to save it. By the way, he's getting injured more, and I'll talk about the Lakers in a minute. Yeah, well, no, okay, so the expansion to Phoenix was kind of weird, so I'll get in on this. So you know how everyone's going into Vegas? Phoenix was Phoenix was a city that was of growth in the 1980s. NBA got there really early. I think it was like the 1970s they got in there. But you had the Cardinals come in the 1980s. You had a hockey team come in the 80s. You had a baseball team come in the 90s. It was a growing metro area that, granted, never should have been, and it's also really spread out. So that is one thing about it, is that it's a spread out area. But yeah, it's got 4 teams. Yeah. With an LA team, no less. Yeah. With an LA team, yeah, that's right. In 2019, I was thinking about that. Well, yeah, because it was the pandemic thing, so that was weird. So yeah, you know what's been funny though? This has been a decent series. It's been a good series. Who cares? How come I've seen so many people complaining that we didn't get Lakers versus Nets, Lakers versus Bucks? I get that for some people. They find it much easier to follow players than teams. Like, I saw someone in the comment section of a video. They were from Europe, and they find it easier to follow players than teams. I totally understand that. Gotta stop going upwards with my voice. I totally understand that. If you're a more casual basketball fan, or you're not exactly from the United States, I 100% understand that. But Giannis exists. He's a superstar. Boom. There's your superstar. Okay? If you claim to be a hardcore fan of basketball itself, you can't tell me this is a bad matchup. And I'm not a hardcore fan of basketball. I'm a football fan, if you couldn't tell from everything about the name of this show. It's bad that Phoenix and Milwaukee made the finals because the markets are too small. Maybe for ratings, yeah, but the ratings they've been good. I mean, they aren't 2018 good, and 2018, by the way, is interesting because, or not 2018, 2019. The 2019 finals does not include any of Canada. So that's an intriguing thing. However, it probably does include Canadian expats. So, could be that's why it was a little bit higher. But let me get back to everybody complaining that neither the Nets or the Lakers are in this finals, because I got one thing to say for them. Good. Those are not the super teams that should be making finals. You know, the Spurs had a super team with Duncan Parker and Ginobili, and they got there by building through the draft. The Celtics built a super team through good trades and already having Paul Pierce for a long time. The Warriors began their dynasty with guys they drafted. Yeah. It's annoying. And when you look at the past few decades of how much, what is it? Like, I think it's LA, Boston, New York, like, you look at some of the biggest media markets, and they've won like 60% of all the championships available, which is annoying. What's worse is that if you look at ratings numbers, small markets will watch more. So I remember a few years ago that New Orleans was the second highest rated market for the NBA on ESPN, second only to Norfolk, Virginia. Which is insane. Because here's the thing. You know, I've said this before. The Pelicans could leave tomorrow and a lot of people wouldn't care. We're the 50th largest media market. 50th exactly. We are the second or third, I think we're the second smallest media market or third smallest media market in the NBA. Only, I think Oklahoma City and Memphis are the only two smaller than us. But that self-fulfilling prophecy doesn't matter, because guess what? They got good basketball teams, and they're fun to watch. Last night's game, I heard, was really good. Saw it was really good. I mean, the comeback victory, what a win. But let's get back to the super team thing. Guess what? The Celtics, they built a good super team. The Warriors, they began their dynasty of the Splash Brothers with really good drafting. Not to mention guys like an Draymond Green, excuse me. He was a second-round pick. That's good. That's really good. They didn't build it through some stupid way. Those are the teams that I just, I can't hate, even though I kind of am annoyed with them because I'm super jealous. But no, the Nets and the Lakers, that's the result of some new bullshit in this league. Am I pissed at how the Lakers became good? Yeah, no. I don't blame Anthony Davis for wanting out of New Orleans. We completely pissed away his career with so many bad trades and moves at the hands of our incompetent GM, Dell Demps, a guy who I don't know how he ever got a job. He had, no experience. Seriously. There's no reason for him to have ever been the GM of this team. And his moves killed us. And it's part of the reason why we have such a problem having a fan base. Because he would take guys that were good and he would just ship them off every year. It was bad. His ability to manage the cap was terrible. I think the worst trade he ever did was the one that was said to have fleeced the Kings. The DeMarcus Cousins trade was an absolute train wreck because of what happened with it. Because you're getting Omer... Why do you need Omer Asik when you're already paying Alexei Ajinka a ton of money? Boogie isn't going to be able to... You can't re-sign him. You're not in a win-now mode either. We come in as the 6th seed. Yes, we swept the Portland Trailblazers, but it's because we had matched up well against the Trailblazers all season. I remember at that time, we didn't want to get the 5 seed. We didn't want to get the 5 seed. We wanted to stay the 6 because we knew we could beat the Trailblazers, and guess what? We swept their asses. Because what happened was, Drew Holiday made Damian Lillard his bitch. That's what happened in that series. I actually went to Game 3 of that series. It was the only one that was a real blowout. We won that game by 30 points. It was awesome. But yeah. So that was the real only time we actually had anything. That's the only playoff series that Anthony Davis won in New Orleans, and it was probably because of Rajon Rondo. It's because of Rajon Rondo, okay? Because Rondo's ass was damn good, for what it's worth. But then, so Anthony Davis, 100% get it. But then, there's LeBron James. His ass moves to LA just because he wants to get some damn movies done. He just wants to do it for his movie career. I understand it. It's a decent business decision. But also, screw you. You could have gone to the Clippers and been cool. You could have been cool. You could have gone to the Clippers. That'd have been the ultimate move of going back to your hometown. You go to the underdog team, the team that you then bring to the bright lights of a championship. I wouldn't have hated you as much. Because the Clippers are dog shit. They're historically dog shit. And they deserved it for a while. And now they don't. So, what he did was, he left behind a Cavaliers team that was broken without him. He did that in 2010. He left behind a broken Cavaliers team that, frankly, do I necessarily blame him for that? Do I blame him for that the second time? Yes. Because at this point, he became a player GM. And he was making moves that, frankly, I think were not conducive to winning long term. And he's done that again in Los Angeles. Because the trade package that the Lakers gave the Pelicans was biased in our favor by a long shot. You look at the fact that Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and Lonzo Ball all got traded to the New Orleans Pelicans, plus a few draft picks, which granted were not exactly that valuable, but we wanted them anyway because fun. You wasted a potential long-term thing for short-term gains. You won a championship in a bubble that maybe you wouldn't have won in because Anthony Davis cannot stay healthy for a full season. He just can't. He's never really shown it, and you saw it again this year. It wasn't because of our medical training staff, which is actually kind of surprising because our medical training staff was horrible. Well, and I mean, LeBron getting control makes sense. He's one of the best players in the NBA, if not the best player in the NBA. I'd listen to him, but his open tampering with Anthony Davis really hurt his team and hurt him. Because you look at the Lakers this year, there's a reason why they were the 7. It's because without LeBron James and Anthony Davis, that team couldn't win. They are not, and this is a thing I said was going to happen, that without them, they weren't going to do it. If only Anthony Davis is there, it's going to be the same thing. They cannot win with Anthony Davis alone because Anthony Davis cannot carry a team. He's never been good enough to do it. That's not a knock on Anthony Davis. It's just that he knows, and I think he knows this. He knows he's always had to be the guy, the co-host. He's always needed a co-host because he can't host it on his own. Alrighty? And that's fine. Look, some guys are Garfunkel. And Garfunkel is totally fine because Simon and Garfunkel made a shitload of money. And it was super successful. But he couldn't carry himself on his own. So, yeah. There's them. Then there's the Nets. The Brooklyn Nets. Well, at least the Brooklyn Nets don't have a title. So, I guess that would have been okay-ish with me, except not really. Considering your location in the largest market in the world, in the country, has landed you a super team. Nothing else. Please piss off. So, Kyrie was a free agent, got no problems there. Free agents should be able to choose where they want to go. I got no problems with him choosing it, especially because he needed out. Like with LeBron James, I got no problems with him doing it necessarily, especially because he did it as a business decision. I 100% understand that. He realizes that he can't be a player forever. He's got to do other things. Now, Kevin Durant was a sign-and trade. But that was because he'd optioned out of his contract with the Warriors to become a free agent. He wanted to go play with his friend in Brooklyn. Got a decent trade out of it. Yeah. And then there's James Harden. And James Harden did the great thing of acting like a little baby until the freaking Rockets decided to ship him out. Dude was throwing a fit this year of trying to get the hell out of there, because apparently the Rockets hadn't done enough. It's not like the Rockets had already been paying him a shitload of money, bringing in whatever guy he wanted, and giving him a system that was going to help him win all the time. I don't get it. What the hell did they have to do for you? You had one of the greatest teams, and you squandered it because your team missed 27 straight three-point attempts. You gonna blame that on the Rockets? No, it ain't their fault that they missed. It ain't their fault y'all missed 27 straight freaking three-point attempts. It's because your offensive system didn't work. Because it was inefficient and it was going to have that fatal flaw. I don't like it. I genuinely hate the idea of taking more threes than twos. Because guess what's... Okay, yeah, that can work sometimes. But eventually you need to abandon it. And I'd say maybe halfway through it, when you've missed 13 straight, try taking it to the basket a little bit. Maybe after 20 straight, you had to try doing that. Well, yeah, but you can do that. But here's the problem. Him doing that was a bitch move, in my opinion. And he wants to get to freaking Brooklyn just so he can play with his best friends and, more importantly, create a super team so that he can walk his way to a title. Guess what? It didn't happen because he got injured. Oh no! I have zero sympathy for him. Zero sympathy for his ass. He's had every single chance he's ever gotten. This dude travels like a motherfucker. He's got Man, his shot is so annoying. And I hate on James Harden mainly because of the fact that it's like, ugh, just stop being a little shit for 3 seconds. Please, dude, be cool. By the way, just gonna say this, something similar can be said for the Clippers with the Paul George situation, which forced the Clippers' hand to give up whatever they wanted to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Thunder, by the way, have used that to their advantage. They're playing Jimmy Johnson's idea of obtain all the draft picks. Yes, all of them. Give them to me. But, it's the Clippers, and frankly, I give them a little bit of a point. They get a little bit of a sparing from me, considering that they, had never made the conference finals in about 50 years of existence. So I'm just going to give them a little bit of yeah, you're allowed to do this. You're the second team in a city. You're basically a small market team. So, yeah. But now it's time to shift over to baseball. Get it? Like the shift in baseball that some people want to ban? Well, you know who I want to ban? I want to ban Stephen A. Smith from the television screens because he's terrible. That's a good segue. Especially because of this racist shit he said on Monday. Now, a lot of people are talking about this. I'm going to talk about this really quickly, but I'm actually going to use it more to segue into a greater point. Because, This actually gets me to segue into a greater point about ESPN as a whole and the Rachel Nichols situation, which I hadn't read into until 2 days ago. And it's some shit. It's some bullshit. Let's talk about it. So on Monday, Stephen A. Smith, he was on First Take. That show he's on with Max Kellerman and Molly Karam. Those are the people on the show. Yeah, there was a discussion about the Angels pitcher /DH/God. He's only been lighting up the majors this year. He leads the leagues with 33 home runs. His ERA is pretty low. Ohtani-san is going to kill you. Showtime. The only problem is he's on the Los Angeles Angels, and they don't know how to win. Seriously, if the whole world was going to end if the Angels didn't make the playoffs in 5 years, we'd all have to, kiss our loved ones goodbye, because frankly, they ain't gonna do it. Not with this stupidity. So, he's far and away one of the brightest young stars the MLB has right now. But there's apparently some sort of problem. He speaks through an interpreter because he gives his interviews in Japanese. Stephen A. Smith chimed in and basically said that he couldn't be a star because he doesn't speak English. Fuck you, Stephen A. Later in the same segment, he asked moderator Molly Karam if she'd seen any Angels games. She had seen many because one of her friends is married to someone close to the Angels, I think a former pitcher, prompting Smith to respond with, I haven't. Which is... That's not how stardom works. Well, here's the thing. It's not like Stephen A. Smith has ever not... It's not like this is the first time Stephen A. Smith's been racist towards Asians before. Because I don't remember the exact comments because I didn't write them down. But he was, kind of dismissive of Jeremy Lin during Linsanity. And Jeremy Lin was on his favorite basketball team. And the Knicks were good. And he was dismissive of him. And apparently he's also had dismissive comments of Manny Pacquiao in the past. And if you didn't know, Manny Pacquiao is from the Philippines. Yeah. Now, later that day, an apology was issued on behalf of Smith. He most certainly did not write it. He most certainly did not write that apology. It did not match his style at all. And the following day, there was a guest on the show to talk about it or something. I don't know. I don't watch First Take. I don't have cable. And I don't want to punch myself in the face every day. So I don't watch First Take. First Take. For if you need to die a little more inside and lose your faith in sports journalism. But let's just say what we all gotta be thinking. ESPN is killing itself. Look, you had him on UFC coverage, and everybody knew that he knew jack about it. I don't watch UFC. So it would have sounded like me talking about UFC. Probably. Except I'd at least said the word chokehold or something. I don't know. I'd have probably sounded about as knowledgeable. Except I can fake my way through it. I think I could do that. I think I could at least make someone believe I've seen an MMA fight before. Even though I haven't. Because I'm definitely somewhat convincing. Possibly more convincing than Stephen A. Smith. But yeah. And the only reason they keep him around is because he's a hot take machine that is at least semi-likable. At least he's got some sort of charm or some sort of charisma. And he's also decent with basketball stuff. Because that's his thing. He was a basketball writer. He's not like a freaking Colin Cowherd or a Skip Bayless. But ESPN killing itself is one thing. Guess what? Let's talk about the Rachel Nichols situation, where ESPN decided to make the great decision of pretty much letting its brightest young star walk right into the arms of NBC, who's trying to hire her. So, if you're not aware of Rachel Nichols' situation, you are like me until like 2 days ago. So, we need to go back. We need to rewind to the bubble. Remember that bubble thing I was talking about earlier? With the whole, like, the Lakers won in that? So there's this girl named Rachel Nichols. Actually, it's a woman named Rachel Nichols. She is older than 18, and I should be calling her and treating her with respect. Although, maybe I shouldn't, and you'll see why in a second. So, the host of NBA Countdown is Rachel Nichols, and she was annoyed that she wasn't chosen to do sideline coverage of the finals over colleague Maria Taylor. And again, Maria Taylor is kind of awesome. So during a conversation with LeBron James's agent, his advisor, his longtime advisor, Adam Mendelson, and James's agent, Rich Paul, also Anthony Davis's agent, about asking for interviews with James and AD, Nichols was kinda annoyed with the whole situation and said, quote, "I wish Maria Taylor all the success in the world. She covers football, she covers basketball. If you need to give her more things to do because you are feeling pressure about your crappy long-time record on diversity, which, by the way, I know personally from the female side of it, like, go for it. Just find it somewhere else. You are not going to find it from me or taking my thing away." Afterwards, she said, quote, "I just want them to go somewhere else. It's in my contract, by the way. This job is in my contract in writing." Now, Nichols is white and Maria Taylor is black, but you knew that based on the context now, didn't you? Or if you watch ESPN. But mostly based on the context. You don't even need to know who these two women are to know that one of them is white and one of them is black. Come on. That's kind of implied from the context. Alright, now, here's a good question. How the hell do we even know this? I mean, it's supposed to be a private conversation. Well, it's like a hot mic moment. So basically, her camera was on, and it was basically recording the whole time, because she was already on a call with someone else for, like, I don't know what, but they recorded the whole 20-minute call, and then it was stored on ESPN's video servers, and everyone has access to the video servers. So then, yeah, that got passed around everywhere, and eventually even Maria Taylor saw it. So how did ESPN handle this? Oh, they disciplined someone. The person who sent Maria Taylor the video, Kayla Johnson, who's now a former digital video producer, was suspended for 2 weeks without pay and then given less desirable tasks. She's black, but you could probably tell from my tone. Yep. No, you know who we should discipline? You know who we should discipline? Not the person who just said that shit. Not the person who just said that fucking shit. The person who sent the person who was being talked about the clip, who could have also accessed it, by the way. Because everybody could fucking access it, because it was on your goddamn video service. Why the hell do you feel like you need to punish her? She went to HR with it. Which is, of course, another example of why you never comply. That's the NCAA rule, by the way. Genuine idea. Just a reminder. If you're an NCAA institution, never comply. It ends poorly every time. And in this case, I guess it's the same thing. Oh, wow. Hold on 1 second. A pause. Damn it, who blabbed? Well, yeah, because then it got leaked. Apparently, Mark Emmert has said it's time to decentralize college sports. So, yeah. He was not putting forth a mandate or a recommendation, but he laid out a vision for the future of college sports that puts fewer limitations on athletes and de-emphasizes the role of the national governing body like the NCAA. What the hell? You could have done this years ago. That would have worked. Oh, wait. I know exactly what you're saying. Here, hold on. Mark Emmert is saying, I need y'all to stop making me a scapegoat. I don't need to keep going down. Anyway, speaking of things that Mark Emmert is involved with, ESPN. So I'm not going to fully expand, by the way, on how ESPN responded because of I say time would be weird. But it has alienated black employees even further by confirming their suspicions that white allies who openly had their back were less supportive behind closed doors. Now, Maria Taylor's contract expires on July 20th. NBC is looking to hire her right before the Olympics. So basically, as soon as her contract expires, they're looking to snap her up. I know someone who got a chance to work with her when she was at LSU in 2018. Basically, my RA, my freshman year, got to run her social media account. I think it was her Instagram account while she was here for college game day. She seems like a genuinely... Okay, seriously? You really have to... Excuse me for 1 second. I just got interrupted rudely by a fly. So that's gonna be fun. Anyway, yes. So, she seems like a great person. She's very outspoken. She doesn't really... It was like... And it's... There we go. Sorry about that loud noise. I just killed the fly. She's... I mean, what can you say? She's talented. She's got everything that you would want in someone with her job. And now that NBC's gonna have her, yeah, she'll probably work Notre Dame games. No, it's not a big fly. It's a small one. It's a small fly. Very small. I just have a bunch of... It's a small fruit fly. Or it was a small fruit fly. It's a dead fly now. But yeah. Now, there is one thing I did want to mention, because I just realized that I ran through everything. You think that's bad. We had to pour a bunch of bleach down the drain in order to get rid of them. Yeah, it was on my pop filter. It just got on my pop filter, so I just, put my thumb on it. It's all gone. Oh yeah, I forgot to do that. But yeah. I'm now trying to think of anything else to do, because I've only been going for 57 minutes minus 10. That's 8:47. I'm not usually this short, but it really hasn't been that much in terms of the whole thing. Well, I need to think this. Do I feel like I could do that? Okay, so this is going to be interesting. So we're going to see how this goes. Yeah, I know, but I had an idea for something. And we're going to see if this works. And let's see, where would it... Playing really loudly. Hold on. Alrighty. Do 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 ba do do ba do 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 do. So here's the interesting thing. I was thinking of changing up something. 'Cause instead of this being... So I've now updated the streaming. That's because... Oh, that looks terrible. Hold on 1 second.
Have questions? Call our Binge Pipe customer support party line.
Hi, I'm locked out of my account.
Is that the same bald man who was in the other scene?
Hi, I fast-forwarded it too far. Can someone tell me how to rewind?
Anybody in Dallas, want to make out?
I'm sorry, is there a Binge Pipe representative in here?
Hold on.
Representative.
Do a little bit of a...
Representative.
You'll figure it out together.
But is it the same?
Oh, okay, it's a different bald guy.
Thank you.
You're not ready for all this new Binge Pipe content, but check out these shows anyway, you risk taker.
So your kid's bike got ran over by a car. We fixed the frame, replaced the tires, and gave it a new paint job.
There we go.
But how's my son?
We left him under the car because he's not a bike.
I've never told anyone that before. Not even my mom, because I feel so close to you, Jennifer.
My name is Kendall.
Whoops-a-doodle.
Objection! Your Honor, this witness is clearly just a tugboat in a trench coat.
Most coaches want their players to succeed. Not Coach Jones. He's a massive dick.
So are you gonna get into the room?
Coming soon to Binge Pipe.
Yeah.
Please let us know how you wanted that sentence to end.
You should get into the room. Because we're gonna play a game.
Ring, 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 ring. Hi, it's me, Evan Jacover. You might remember me from Evan
you see the
Jacover,
room code?
best friend for hire.
IMGA?
Well, as it turns out, there's not a lot of money in the friendship business, so that's why I've decided to rebrand myself. Today, I'm proud to introduce my new business venture, Evan Jacover, bad boy for hire. Does your classroom need someone in the back of the room to scoff at the teacher while resting their legs on a desk and wearing sunglasses? Is your party missing a mysterious and stoic stranger smoking in the corner? I might cough up a storm, but I'm up for the task. Does your small town need a lovable renegade who vandalizes the sheriff's office with washable paint? I can do all these things because I'm one bad boy. I'll wear a leather jacket that's a little too big on me. I'll ride one of those motorcycles that has two wheels in the front.
Alrighty.
I'll pull out a
So
switchblade.
I'm gonna see other...
That's really a comb. I'll do all these things because I'm the baddest of boys. Are you a woman who doesn't yet realize how strong and independent you are,
Well,
so
you
you
know
think
what?
you need to be with a troubled soul? Well, then call me.
Binge Pipe expected a bit more gratitude for presenting You Don't Know Jack. Binge Pipe, we love you as much as our lawyers say we can.
Hey, welcome to the game. I'm your host, Cookie Masterson. Just letting you know I haven't been recast, no matter how many times I've suggested it. Looks like we have a good old-fashioned duel on our hands. Who slapped who with a fancy white glove? Okay, what are we waiting for?
Alrighty.
Time for question one. Let's start with seeing eye to side eye. Say you gave side eyes so fierce, both eyes ended up on one side of your face. What cautionary tale might your predicament inspire? The tale of the human lobster, the tale of the human chameleon, the tale of the human starfish, or the tale of the human
I have
flounder?
an idea, but... Vote now on your phone.
Hope you like what you picked. As they mature, a flounder's eyes migrate to one side of its head.
Yeah, I would know this being...
Take a picture of my good side.
Or we
You
have
know,
sent
the
them.
side with the face.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
This one's called Can't or Won't Stop the Feeling. Which Justin Timberlake song title best describes the act of lapidation? Cry Me a River, Rock Your Body, Sexy Back, or What Goes Around Comes Around?
Laugh it. No idea. Only got that because of SpongeBob.
Okay, what'd you pick?
Damn it.
This one's not your specialty.
Me
Isn't
neither.
it obvious? Lapidation is the act of stoning someone to death. Yeah, it's amazing how many people misinterpret that song.
Why don't we do it with free?
Up next, yet another reason I have a hard time watching House of Cards. And it's this or that. I'm going to read off 7 things, and for each one, I want you to tell me if it's a Netflix original program, you know, like Stranger Things or one of those exclusive Adam Sandler movies, or a picture calibration setting on my HD TV. Think fast, you'll only get a few seconds to pick between on Netflix or in my TV settings. And you're both doing this together, so look alive. Ready? Let's go. Tint. Right. Easy. Resolution. Low. Dark. Smoothness. At least one of you got it. But player 2, of all the losers, you are the loseriest.
Dissatisfaction has been noted.
Oh, that means it's screw time.
That is the truth, Cookie. Using the screw makes it harder for your opponent to answer in a variety of pleasurable ways. And you'll receive a bonus if they choose incorrectly.
I
Yes,
couldn't have said
it
it
is
better
funny.
myself, apparently.
What a mutually satisfying solution.
Behold, names are a numbers game. What do you get when you add Octavia Spencer to Zachary Quinto, then multiply by Demi Lovato?
A really,
9,
really
6.5,
interesting
20, or 13.5?
That's too easy.
What'd you guys pick? Yeah, way to be wrong. It was this one all along. Octavia is derived from 8, and Quinto comes from 5, so 8 plus 5 is 13. Then multiply by Demi, which means half.
I hate
13
you.
times
I hate
half
you
is
so much right now.
6.5.
I did not think of that.
This also adds up to a buddy comedy that I would pay to see. Oh, here's a good one. Degrassi, the previous generation. If Draconian leader Drake the Rapper ruled over us, it would mean we started at the bottom and now we're here to work without oversight. We're heathens living in a theocracy. We're heavily punished for minor offenses. Or we're hereafter
Wait.
known by our class
Crap.
titles.
I messed up. I messed up. Not guessing loses you points.
Okay, let's take a look. Oh, give me a
Nope,
Drake.
It's heavily punished for minor offenses.
This answer feels lonely. Draconian laws, named for the first Grecian legislator, emphasize severity and authoritarianism. People arrested in this system aren't even allowed one hotline bling.
That is very weird.
Round 1 is history. Let's see who's cheating.
Currently, player 1 is in the lead. Player 2, on the other hand, I want to help you. Please let me in. Your performance has triggered the need for another screw.
Round 2 screws have crazier effects.
you only
Plus,
have
they earn
one
you a
screw,
bigger
but
bonus
round
for each player
2
that gets the
screws
question
is
wrong.
stupid.
So don't be shy about using that thing. Player 1, I'd answer fast if I were you, unless you're looking to get screwed. Oh, and by the way, all the cash in round 2 is doubled.
I'm
In
leading
case you
with
care about
negative
things like that.
500.
You're
That's not
doing
good.
so well, Cookie.
6 trombones is not a parade.
Let's try. How's your Wi-Fi? Getting a good signal, I hope? Oh, also, what does Wi-Fi stand for? Wireless fidelity, wireless field, wireless firmware, or nothing?
Can you answer? Come on.
Let's see who got it. Wi-Fi is just a catchy name that is not short for anything. The wireless industry needed something to call it, something better than its original name, IEEE 802.11. And now you know why. Fi.
La vie est un canard. 7.
How about this one? A hug from Binge Pipe. Oh, gross. Why did they make me say that?
Binge Pipe recommends. Because you enjoy the expeditions of Juan Ponce de Leon, we thought you would like The Florida Project, Raising Arizona, Mystery Alaska, or Californication.
Let's see how that shook out.
Juan Ponce de Leon was a Spanish explorer who led the first European trip to the state of Florida.
And if you'd like to see a movie about life in modern-day Florida, I recommend The Purge.
'Twas then I learned to heed the winds of 8.
Here's one for you. Detecting proper pronunciation. And hey, stress cut with mime sore.
It's time for a
Gibberish question time.
Get those typing fingers ready
You
because the
actually have an
longer you
advantage.
take, the less money you make. Okay, head in the game. Look at the following gibberish phrase and tell me what common phrase it rhymes with. Sleuth his danger and diction. And don't let that punctuation trip you up. No reality.
I got it.
Let's make sense of this, shall we? Moving right along. Coming up next, Kanye Gatsby? Lil Uzi Gatsby? I know the Great Gatsby has the same first name as a rapper, but I can't remember which one. Which of these great rappers has the same first name as the Great Gatsby? Vince Staples, Tyler the Creator, Jay-Z, or Earl Sweatshirt? Okay, who chose what? So we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the wrong answer.
Jay Gatsby.
Gatsby's full name is Jay Gatsby. Now what's F. Scott Fitzgerald's first name? Future? Fat Joe? Fergalicious?
I did.
Introducing, is a baby driver similar to a mini driver? If Baby from the movie Baby Driver learned to drive at the age a baby giraffe learns to walk, how fast would the baby become a baby driver?
What?
1 second after birth, 1 minute after birth, 1 hour after birth, or 1 day after birth? So what'd you pick? You killed it. Your chances, I mean.
In a minute?
Baby giraffes are up and walking an hour after they're born. Now, if you ever give birth to a baby driver, just remember to cut the umbilical cord before you give it the keys. Welcome to the attack.
Oh, it's
When you see an answer that matches the category, tap it on your device. The faster you pick a right answer, the more cash you make. And more than one answer can be right. But each time you're wrong, I'm taking some cash away. And don't forget, It's gotta be a match that fits this clue. Let's hang out. Hopefully you know who hangs out at these famous bars and restaurants.
Marcel the Shell with suit. There's money in the banana stand. Are not SpongeBob shows. The Algonquin Round Table, I believe, is a real thing.
Player one's got it! I gotta hand it to you, Player One. Your score
I may or may
is
not be
quite
really good at
impressive.
this game,
Unless it
because
was your
I've played
idea
a
to
lot of
play
it.
this game. If that's the case.
But not really. Like, I just played a lot of You Don't Know Jack on the DS.
Binge Pipe
Well,
has
yeah, you
mixed
did well with the
feelings
SpongeBob one,
about
except you forgot that
presenting
crabs is
You Don't
spelled
Know
with a K.
Jack. Binge Pipe, we demand your loyalty.
And it's in this game
I'm
that we're
Cookie,
gonna wrap
and to
things up.
paraphrase my dad,
This
I
is
love
not the
you,
last
son.
time we're doing it in Jack's
I view
box,
you two
right?
as my children, in that I've already
And once
chosen
the
a favorite.
next game comes out, I'm definitely gonna be getting that thing, and I'm a.
And we're off.
Time for question one.
No, this is a very
To get
well-
started, my favorite instrument is the laptop. Based on elevation, which EDM DJ is making the highest beat drop? Diplo dropping the beat from the mesosphere, Marshmello dropping the beat from the stratosphere, Calvin Harris dropping the beat from the troposphere, or Zed dropping the beat from the thermosphere?
Say it after, by the way. This is a Steam game.
So who got it? The thermosphere is 50 to 440 miles above the Earth. The only higher layer of the atmosphere is the exosphere. Might want to sit this one out. I can't imagine a beat dropping from that high would end well.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
I've watched the video.
Next
on
up,
the highest jump in the
quiet
world.
down. Which of the Marx brothers would be least likely to get eviscerated in The Quiet Place? Groucho, Chico, Harpo, or Zeppo?
Take a guess. It won't let you answer, will it?
Who picked what? I am Groot. Watch how easy this is. In the movie The Quiet Place, the monsters hunt by sound and Harpo didn't speak. I hate seeing movies in the theater. I stopped going because, sadly, there aren't monsters that eat people who talk when they shouldn't.
Why don't we do it with free?
Feast your eyes upon this. Just one more, and I hope you're not driving because it's a dis or dat. I'm going to read off 7 things, and for each one, I want you to tell me if it's a drink that contains scotch or a movie that contains Sean Connery. Answer quick. You'll only have a few seconds to choose between a scotch cocktail or Sean Connery. And you're both doing this together, so pay attention. All set? Here we go. Rob Roy. The Godfather.
What?
The Rock. Thunderball. Rising Sun. Blood and Sand. Four Horsemen. You barely rose above my expectations. But player 1, you failed in ways numbers can't truly explain.
Proactive measures have been enacted for customer fidelity.
Oh, this ought to be good.
Your failure has earned you a screw.
Use that sucker on your opponent to trip him up during a question.
Then you do the opposite.
At Binge Pipe, we just want you to be reasonably happy.
I call this one, My Heart Feels Loony. Whose Fitbit is probably freaking out the most about a high resting heart rate? Porky Pigs, Dumbos, Snoopies, or Bugs Bunnies?
This game really won't let you answer, will it?
And how'd we do? Rabbits have a high resting heart rate, as high as 350 beats per minute. You should see how many steps he logs when he takes that wrong turn at Albuquerque. There is no hiding from, please approach the wench. Suppose in the courtroom finale of Once Upon a Time, Excalibur becomes inadmissible as evidence in Cinderella's case because it was discovered through an illegally obtained magic mirror. What real-world legal doctrine is this?
Okay.
Fruit from the poisonous tree, music from the broken record, water from the cursed well, or bread from the bewitched oven?
You literally cannot...
I love this part. All's well that ends well, except for this. This is the real name of the doctrine that excludes evidence from being submitted in court if it was found due to illegally obtained evidence. Remember, never accept apples from witches or legal advice from talking furniture. They're not barristers, they're banisters.
God damn it.
Say goodbye to round 1. Time to count your chips while sitting at the table.
Currently, player 1 is in the lead. Player 2, on the other hand. Wow, you are really doing it. Poorly. Looks like someone needs a little more help.
And remember, round
it's
2
only
screws
10
are more
round-
powerful,
10
and they'll net you more
questions,
cash
so-
for each player that gets the question wrong. So do not be afraid to use that
So once
thing.
this game
Better
is
get those
over, I'm
answers
gonna
in fast,
just
player
end
1, before you get
everything,
screwed.
'cause
Oh, and did I mention
best.
all the money's doubled in round 2?
I feel good about this.
6 trombones is not a parade.
Try this on for size. Let's all go to the lobby. I hate seeing movies in the theater. Hold on. Deja vu. Have I mentioned I don't like seeing movies in theaters? Yep, in the first question. Yep, in the second question. Yep, in the fourth question. Or, nope, I haven't mentioned it. Look sharp. You got hit by a screw player, too. This one goes out to my grandma. Love you, Gramps.
Can you even answer?
So who got it?
Nope.
Can't do anything right, can you?
I don't remember.
The preferred answer is... That's right, it was the second question. Okay, good. So I'm not going crazy after all. You know, I stopped seeing movies in the
wasted my
theater
screw.
because,
I just
sadly,
realized that.
there aren't monsters that eat people who talk when they shouldn't. Oh, wait. I already did that joke. That screw is a good move, player one.
Oh, it
Have some
was?
cash.
I'm using my phone. I'm using my phone. And it works really well on mobile.
you
It don't
thinking
need
now?
internet or something.
Sit.
I don't know.
Here
I'm
we
not having
have
any troubles.
Octopus Coffee, Queen Elizabeth, or Frankenstein.
Octopus, coffee, Queen Elizabeth, or Frankenstein. It's monster.
A
John
Samsung
Lennon's
Galaxy
alter
S9.
ego in Yellow Submarine. Octopus, Coffee, Queen Elizabeth, or Frankenstein.
Okay, that. You have a new phone, so.
Let's see who got it. Let's call this a teaching moment. Now pay attention. In the 1968 animated film Yellow Submarine, John Lennon is introduced as Frankenstein's monster.
Hey, question.
At Binge Pipe, we value your needs. Would you like a question about great sex or a question about great sax? Choose on your devices now.
I've already chosen. Refresh the page.
Here are the consequences of your choices. I have no opinion about your selection.
'Twas then I learned to heed the winds of eight.
It's time for a question about great sax. Which saxophone is the biggest? Tenor, soprano, baritone, or alto? So what'd you pick? The baritone is the biggest of the
I've
four
seen it.
listed. I love great sax,
Man,
but
if
you
only
have to
someone
watch out
could
for all
have
the
told us
jazz.
that the band kids would have figured that out.
Na 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 na.
Coming up, a totally relatable childhood memory. If you're playing football in the backyard and your dad yells, "Go deep," where's the best place you could run to impress him? Death Valley, the Malloy Deep, the Caspian Depression, or Mariana's Trench? Okay, let's take a look. The Mariana Trench is the deepest spot on the planet at over 36,000 feet below sea level. Your dad better have a really good arm.
Sabes que es lindo, yes, perritos.
Why not try WWEIEIO? Kids love professional wrestling about as much as professional wrestlers love doing things other than professional wrestling. Based on his well-known catchphrase taunt, what would most likely be John Cena's favorite childhood game? Duck Duck Goose, Peekaboo, London Bridge is Falling Down, or Patty Cake?
It won't let you answer.
Okay, what'd you pick? John Cena is well known for saying, "You can't see me," which is also the name of his first studio album. I know that because I bought a Cena album thinking it was a Sia album, and I gotta say, I have zero regrets.
don't watch wrestling. Well, I didn't watch wrestling either, and now I don't know anything about it. But come on, we
You
all know
made
the
it to the
memes.
attack. When you see an answer that matches the category, tap it on your device. The faster you pick a
You
right
understand
answer, the
this
more
now.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was hosting the game. How stupid of me. Here's your clue. A walk in the parks.
Walk in the
Enjoy a
park.
nice walk
Walk
through
in the
these
park, running
park-themed
around.
prompts.
Yep.
Good luck.
This is old, by the way. A couple of years.
Player one wins! Congratulations, Player One. I've seen some wins, but this one takes the cake, eats it, and smears the leftovers in the competition's face. But don't let it go to your head because
You don't know Jack!
And that's gonna do it for tonight. That was a fun thing. If only people came out to these things. I may have to do a separate Jackbox night when people are free, which is never because people have lives and I don't. That's really annoying. But no, it wasn't. It helps to know things. But that's going to do it for this episode. If you want to find me on Twitter, you can find me at capital B-E-N, capital S, capital L, capital A, capital S, P-O-R-T-S. Might actually start doing that if I run out of things to talk about and I still got a lot of time. I might just start playing Jackbox at the end of the nights. We'll see if that happens. We'll see if we do this again. I don't know, because planning is for suckers, apparently. But until next time, y'all have a good week. Check out tomorrow's pre-recorded podcast where I'll have a little bit more on some stuff that's happened, including the new USA Gymnastics FBI probe, because... Hey, did you know that the FBI allowed a man to abuse 120 girls? Wow, that's really messed up. You'll have to hear about that tomorrow on Goal to Go. But until next time, this is the beginning of night. Bye-bye.